Good afternoon. You're watching Businessworld live here on One News. I'm Jes Delos Santos. Let's take a look at how the local bourse closed today, Monday. After that massive sell-off on Friday, shares today managed to stage a rebound as the index climbed close to 3.1%. The PSEi capped off the day at 6,513. Ron Acoba Trading Edge said in the program this morning that this normalization in the index is already expected after heavyweights were sold down on Friday. After they were reduced, you have the likes of San Miguel Corporation, Summit, and even Aboitiz Equity Ventures. And looking at our leaders and laggards for the day, these are the various stocks which actually made huge leaps today. You have the likes of ICTSI here gaining close to 7.1% to 182 a share. There's also SM Investments also in the positive territory, up by 5.7% to 964 a share. JG Summit likewise inching higher by 5.5%. Aboitiz Equity Ventures also in the green, and San Miguel Corporation up 4.6% after reporting net income at 3.77 billion pesos. Alliance Global, look at that, a whopping 8.3% gain to lead gainers at 9 pesos and 75 centavos a share. But take a look at our laggards today, which include two of the new main entrants here in the main gauge. You have AC Energy and Converge. Acoba said he expects the two stocks to pull back and consolidate for several weeks, considering that they're already pricey after being on the uptrend, but he's still betting on both stocks here. AC Energy at least capped off the day at 9 pesos and 22 a share. Converge also in the red, down 1.3% to 27 pesos a piece. Now we're still in the thick of earnings season, and a couple of consumer stocks really just released their figures today. Let's kick things off with Merrymart coming in with higher first half numbers here. Consolidated net income for the first 6 months of the year is higher by 20.1% to 16 billion pesos and 16.4 billion pesos. First half consolidated revenue is also at 1.8 billion pesos. That's higher by 12.3%. Assets also seeing a 3.6% markup. Now, Merrymart continues to eye mergers and acquisitions opportunities in both the grocery and pharmacy market to help bolster their growth. Recall that the acquisition of Carlos Superdrugs, which expanded Merrymart's total store network to 68, bringing them closer to their goal of 100 branches nationwide by year end. Looking at how Merrymart today, however, performed, it declined here 3.4% to 3 pesos and 41 centavos a piece. Now, for Merrymart, this time, let's go to one retailer. You have SSI Group, which is still at a net loss here for the second quarter. We're talking 74 million pesos for the second quarter of the year. That compares to 586 million year on year from last year. So somehow they managed to trim their losses, but still not a very good quarter for SSI Group. Second quarter sales, however, saw a 294% increase to 2.9 billion pesos. Their recurring losses for the April to June period also at 2.8 million pesos. Sales increased despite the 2-week lockdown back in April, followed by the 4-week MECQ. Strong sales in the first half, according to them, reflected the resilience of their customer base and the pace by which high-end products actually managed to recover. However, investors sold out the stock today. SSI is in the red, down 3.6% to 1 pesos and 8 centavos a share. Now here are other headlines we're keeping our eyes on. Overseas cash remittances rose more than expected in June. Cash remittances were up 7% year on year to $2.6 billion in June. Remittances in the first half also rose 6% to nearly $15 billion. This follows weak performance from the Philippine peso. Now, tax collections from SIN products rose 40% in the first half as government eases quarantine measures and increased rates take effect at the start of the year. Sin tax collections grew to 127 billion pesos in the first 6 months of the year, up from the 90 billion pesos in the same period last year. Taxes generated from tobacco and alcohol products both climbed, with consumers under less restrictive conditions. The Bureau of Internal Revenue expects to hit its 298 billion peso sin tax collection target, provided no further prolonged ECQs would be imposed in the coming months. For now, it remains to be seen whether an extended ECQ will take place after August 20. Palace spokesman Harry Roque says there has been no recommendation yet from Metro Manila mayors. Roque says the IATF will meet tomorrow to discuss the new classifications, which may be finalized by Thursday. This comes as daily cases hit record highs in the past days and new cases of the Delta variant reported. The country also tallied its first case of the LAMBDA variant, a local case involving a 35-year-old woman with no known travel history and has since recovered. The DOH says backtracing is being conducted to determine more information about the patient. The LAMBDA variant, first detected in Peru, is believed to be more infectious than the original SARS-CoV-2 virus. It's so far still a variant of interest, according to the WHO. As infections continue to rise and more cases of the more transmissible Delta variant being detected, as well as the index case of the LAMBDA variant, what are the odds of the current ECQ status in the capital being extended beyond August 20? Is the private sector ready for such a scenario? Let's find out from Presidential Advisor for Entrepreneurship, Joey Concepcion. Good afternoon, Sir Joey.
Good afternoon, Jester.
Okay, so you've been one of the more vocal supporters of the proposal to go on ECQ for 2 weeks this month. We're days away from that concluding. With how infection rate is going, do you see this extending beyond Friday?
Well, it all depends on our health advisors on how they see the situation. ROQUE was quite spot on. We hit 14,400 cases Sunday, yesterday, and they predicted weeks before that we will hit 15,000. Now, according to them, NCR is up there, but what is concerning are the other areas. But the focus of the private sector really is in NCR, where the lockdown is. And I am sure that the IATF will do the right thing. What's important is that whatever we have done, we really have to look at a scenario whereby we move out of a lockdown, be it on August 20, or if they decide to extend it at the end of August. And that's why we proposed that government really considers the request of the private sector to allow certain establishments to only allow fully vaccinated people following the models in Singapore and Indonesia. I think by doing that, and with the LGUs ramping up vaccination and targeting anywhere between 70 to 80% of its citizens fully vaccinated, that will allow us to stop all the lockdowns, hitting 70, 80% fully vaccinated and allowing fully vaccinated people greater mobility in entering malls, restaurants, spas, and whatever that the IATF will allow. So that the unvaccinated is actually at the greatest risk. 85% of all the admittances in most hospitals are unvaccinated people.
Now, okay, we'll get to that later, but the reason why I'm asking is if we are ready at least for an extension of the ECQ, is that last week you have the PSEi issuing a statement, saying that they are opposing talks of a 5-week ECQ. Is there really talks of the current ECQ status being extended for another 2 or for another 3 weeks? What have you heard of?
No, I've not heard of anything yet. I only know that I just talked to Chairman Abalos, and he said that the Metro Manila mayors have not issued anything yet as to whether they will support a 2-week lockdown. According to Ben-Hur, they're still discussing with the other mayors what the options are, and it may not just be ECQ; it may be other ideas that they would propose. On my side, I believe that the business sector doesn't really want a lockdown. The question really is 2 weeks enough to really tame this Delta variant, no, with the uptrend moving that fast and seeing hospitals creeping up with capacities. I think we have to really calibrate. The end objective really is to preserve the fourth quarter from any more lockdowns. No? So whatever the decision of the IATF, should really consider that we have enough time to vaccinate our people, which is one of the reasons why we pushed for an early lockdown, and I think that was the right thing to do. Now, whether we terminate the lockdown by August 20 is a decision of the ITF, and I would respect whatever that is. But we have to always keep in mind that whatever actions that we have taken now, we should not be short-sighted. No? We should look at the long term. Then the real long term is we don't want to see any more lockdown. If this lockdown will end, then it should end and not continue, no, and come back in the fourth quarter. Now, if that's not possible, then I think the government will have to make the right decision on that aspect.
So I take it to mean, sir, that you are at least amenable, even if they do extend this. It's up to them, really. It's, you respect the decision, but this time around, like what you said earlier, you were proposing to come up with a bubble for the fully vaccinated. But the thing is, of course, one of the main contentions to that would be, isn't that going to be discriminatory, especially for the unvaccinated, some of whom remain to be unvaccinated, not because of their own choice?
I agree with you. And that's why the timing of executing this is once we have enough vaccines. No? And if the LGUs would come close to the 60% level, then I think that is the time to implement this. So you can see the massive rollout from the LGU side. Talking to Secretary Galvez in when the vaccines of AstraZeneca arrived, he believes that this can be adopted as the vaccines start coming in on September and October. But then again, no, we all have to prepare. No, we don't want to plan on let's say. Remember, the unvaccinated also are at its highest risk. No? The moment looking at 85% of those admittances are unvaccinated, we have to also reduce their mobility basically from home to workplace and back to home. Now, if we want to give more mobility to the vaccinated, I think that is one option of opening up the economy and opening up safely, because you only allow vaccinated. Again, remember, the risk is the unvaccinated and not the vaccinated. Of course, the vaccinated can still get infected, and we've seen that with Delta, but you've seen that most of them get it very mild, no? Very mild.
Again, that points really to vaccine supply, but like what you mentioned earlier, I mean, achieving even that 70 to 80% of the population per LGU will really hinge on vaccine supply. Question is, how is the private sector from your end? How are you guys now when it comes to inoculating the sector?
Well, the AstraZeneca vaccines arrived last Friday, and there will be another arrival sometime this coming week. So we're on schedule. All 500 companies for AstraZeneca purchases are using the shared vaccination centers that we've created in cooperation with SM, Robinsons, Ayala, and Philinvest, and more to come in the provinces. So we're mobilizing as fast as possible. Bulk of these vaccines are focused on NCR. And talking to Ben-Hur, the LGUs are doing great. They're hitting record highs of 600,000 plus a day. No? So that's what we want to see. And I believe that we can accomplish 70 to 80% by October, no? The rate we're going. And I'm referring to just NCR. No? I'm not referring to the entire country. No? I'm referring to NCR, that we can hit that. And if we are able to hit that, then we should allow the economy to open, allow the malls to open, allow the restaurants and all the others to open, but for fully vaccinated people only. And I think that is a model that's adopted in Singapore, Indonesia, Europe, United States. It's moving all over. I think that will be an acceptable model. And again, this is not an issue of discrimination. No? This is an issue of saving lives and the economy. No? So how do you save lives? You vaccinate everybody. How do you save the economy? You take a risk by opening up the malls, but ensuring the only ones that can get to those malls are those who have taken the vaccine. It would be reckless to allow the unvaccinated to go in public spaces.
But would that also
They will
require
be
a
allowed.
more centralized database in order for us to allow easier mobility and movement for the vaccinated?
Yes. So the Bakuna cards, eventually the DICT with this new form that I've received my confirmation from DICT with the QR code, and I'm told that this will soon be operational to the public in the next 30 days. No?
Okay, thank you very much for those updates and those insights again. Presidential Advisor for Entrepreneurship, Joey Concepcion. Thank you, sir. And those are the biggest stories this trading day, August 16, 2021. Catch Businessworld live again tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. for the market open and 3:15 p.m. for the market close. I'm Jes Delos Santos. We are One News. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe. Philippines.